them up. Putting an excerpt, putting the whole uncut. So everything that we're doing right now is all getting recorded. That'll all go on the YouTube channel. People seem to, I never knew, man, that people would actually watch this stuff. And they do. They like this stuff. So it's, hey, it's fine. It's cool. We've been doing audio for, going into our 13th, 14th season here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But take a guess how many times you've been on the show.
Me, I want to say 10.
14.
Oh, geez. Okay. There you go.
So I just tell Melody, it's like, you started with us in 2014 and we went through that dark time when you got hurt and you were like essentially the book, and that was some tough times for you, man. You're in rough shape. So been through a lot together. And
Yep. No, 100%. Like, I remember the time when I told you everything about that stuff as well. And I think that it was maybe 8 months after or so that I was finally able and ready to do another episode with you. I was waiting for the right timing to even ask about that.
No, it was spot on. And then we did that episode, which, a lot of these episodes, Melody, that way in the back, you don't keep it. We keep them for about a year, 2 years. I've got everything on Dropbox, but I don't go back through and sort them because it's like, it gets to be so many. We do at least one a week for sure. But I don't think I have that episode anymore, but we just talked about just when you get hurt, how you get the mindset back. So, but it was great, and so the relationship that we have, and then the relationship that you guys have. And so let's promote the book. So, Lee, I didn't mention to you, I haven't talked to you, but Melody knows this. In the 5th segment of this episode, I do a new thing. I've started not too long ago, called Messages to My Younger Self. And basically when I have one guest, I say, give me 3, and it pretty much eats up the whole 5th segment, but it's been really fun and cool. And so from different perspectives, for people different ages, the last young guy I had on, he was in his early 30s. A 30-year-old guy can have a message to his younger self, his 15-year-old self. A guy like me who's 63 years old, I got so many freaking stories. That's where it started. It's like, shit. It's hilarious how far back you can go and just say, hey, get ready. So I'm going to throw that to you guys and we'll just go back and forth. And so since we're doing a 3-way conversation, I'm just going to frame it up like this, Lee. I'll pose the thing and then I'll say, hey, what do you think about that, Melody? Or what do you think about that, Lee? Just to kind of give you guys a lead in so we don't step on each other, because you know how Zoom is. And eventually I'll probably get that. I'm probably going to go with the OBS system for the video stuff, but for now it's fine. And it actually looks pretty good. And then I cut the messages to my younger self out and put it on my other YouTube channel, because I have the 2 YouTube channels now. So, and I want to be just like Lee when I grow up and have 40,000 people on Instagram. And, I'm pivoting to YouTube. I think YouTube is the spot for our stuff, for what we do. We'll see. I'm still using a little bit of Instagram just to promote you guys and all of that. And I'll send you all the links to all these little clips and stuff like that. So
of course.
Pretty fun.
I always like sharing the stuff that we do with Boomers Rockin' with the Tom Nat Show and stuff like that. It goes pretty well, and I really just like our conversations, honestly, over the course of time. Yours is by far the most frequent that I've done as far as radio or podcasts go in terms of returns, and I mean that says something in and of itself. The chemistry is good, and the conversations are great, and they go really well.
Well, I appreciate that, and so Melody, we're going to take good care of you. I mean, you got a good partner there with this book, and you guys turned out an awesome product. And as I told Melody, Lee, I have not gotten deeply into the book, but I'm going to, because just starting to go through it, I'm like, this thing's freaking greatness. I mean, it's like, especially I've never been a real Olympic guy, Melody. I love to train. I love to cross. I love bands. I do a lot of BOSU stuff. I do, just all kinds of crazy shit. I've been, doing it. I've been going to the university gym for 25 years now. And so, but the Olympic stuff, I've learned more from the young people, the students. And the other cool thing that I've found at the university level is the number of females who are doing big lifts. I mean, from when I started, when the weight room sucked and there wasn't really any free weights at all, very little. It's kind of amazing to me to see. And you know what? Some of the female students are really, really good. I mean, they're strong. They're badasses. I mean, I don't know where they're getting their training from, but one thing I did notice in the book quickly was, people post stuff off the internet and there's nothing to judge who's that program for? What's all of what's the backstory here? Because, so anyways, we got lots to talk about, but so let's, get Melody's.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I just want to grab something real quick.
Melody, if you need to get a glass of water or something or whatever.
Are you from Chicago?
We'll break. We'll have 5 breaks. So we go. Each one's about 10 minutes long, as I said on our call. So it goes really fast, and I have a couple of reads that I do in the beginning of segments. So we'll just start dive bombing this thing. But the first segment's going to be about, this is your life, and I'm going to go to you first. And you can kind of just talk about you, and then we'll throw it to Lee, and you can talk about your family, talk about whatever you want. Just get yourself warmed up. And I asked you on the phone, what would you like to talk about? I thought your response was interesting because I look at you guys as my subject matter experts, and I know you said you've done lots of podcasts, and we do radio and podcasting, but it's like, well, you've got such a huge backstory. Where do we want to go with these 4 segments? And then now I'm using the last segment for the messages to your younger self. So really we got 3 segments. So, but Lee knows this is going to be cake. I mean, this will be great. Lee, you ready to go?
Yep.
All right, let me get this screen up here. You guys see me all right?
Yep.
All right. Let me.
Are you from Chicago, Tom?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay, you've got a little bit of a Chicago accent.
Oh, do I?
Mhm.
Yeah, Midwest. We have a home in Wisconsin, and we also live here in Lansing. We're about 60-40. Our girls are in Wisconsin. Our youngest rents the house back from us, and that's where we stay when we go over there. And then we have 2 grandchildren. So
I went to UW-Madison.
Excuse me?
I went to UW-Madison.
Oh, you did? Oh, cool. Yeah, Wisconsin is a great. I love Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the people there are fantastic. They got a lot of good medical school there too. All right, let me get this thing going here. I want to forewarn you guys. I have not had this happen recently, but my software. What happened? My software locked up or something, or I think I probably did something wrong. But I had to restart a couple of sessions because I got the segment 2 and I wasn't getting any audio into my system. And so it was kind of a pain in the ass. So I've been forewarning people. I'm not like I'm trying to jinx myself, but
and Zoom isn't gonna shut you out after 40 minutes, right? Is that what it's?
No. We have the professional Zoom. So no, for sure. I learned that way on, back in the day. Remember when we used to use Skype? And
yeah.
Skype went bad, and so all right, let's get this bad mofo rolling. Point to my camera. It's kind of crazy. All right. I'm refired from the university now, right, Lee? I refired from the university. August 5th last year was my last working day, but my last pay day was like October. So now I'm doing this stuff full time, and I had one person reach out to me for some personal training help. And I said, yeah, okay, but here's the thing. I kind of go on a higher price side. I value my stuff. She was totally cool with it. And it's like, I don't do a lot of one-on-one stuff. It's not like I don't want to do it. It's just that it's a decision that media is our thing. So it's been an interesting, very interesting ride. Here we go, guys. Last week, David C. Thomas was with us. believing in yourself, recreating yourself. The guy's got an amazing story, and he was just a great guest that we found, and love that one. So please check that out. Today, got Lee Boyce back for his 14th visit, and Melody Schoenfeld. Did I say that right, Melody? I should ask. I'm sorry. Did I?
There's so like everybody says it differently.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, let me do your guys' bios real quick. Well, Lee Boyce, as I said, been on the show 14 times, been with me since 2014. We're good pals. One of the best trainers. Both of these professionals are the go-tos if you need some assistance. And we're going to talk about strength training for all body types. Their book, I'll show it on the video here. It's stuff. But we're going to talk about that at length, and their collaboration, which I find very, very interesting. Lee Boyce is a strength coach who works with clients and athletes for muscle strength and sports performance, based in Toronto. His bio is like 9 years old because I've had him around for a long time. He's internationally published, been around. That's where I found him, was in Men's Health, I think, or Men's Fitness. I found an article that I really kind of clicked with me. And yeah, so we've had a lot of road together, and he's been on all kinds of media and gets all kinds of requests. He's huge on Instagram. We'll talk about all that stuff here, later when we get all of our guest contact information. Melody Schoenfeld. Now she's an interesting background with her master's or MA. She's CSCS certified, which is big. If you're in the fitness industry, that's a really, really hard certification to get. And it shows that you're, your stuff. Has well over 28 years of personal training experience. I'm going to read this whole thing, you guys, so hang with me because I find it very interesting. 2019 NSCA Personal Trainer of the Year. Congratulations on that. She is the owner of Flawless Fitness, a small personal training studio, probably very boutique. That's what happens with this. You find these trainers who are in high demand, and you better be ready to step up because they'll bring, I know Lee's that way too. Melody holds a master's degree in health psychology. That's really a cool degree to have. She has held state and American records in all 3 lifts in powerlifting, competes in strongman and grip sport events. That's a first time for this show. Performs old-time strongman feats of strength, such as tearing phone books and bending steel bars. How awesome. Love it. Her expertise in health and fitness has been featured on numerous television programs throughout the country, been published all over the place. Oxygen, Men's Fitness. Has several manuscripts published with Strength and Conditioning Journal. And now she is a co-author with my pal, Lee Boyce, on with this book, Strength Training for All Body Types. And I want to get these two in here, and we talk about how we can help you if you need some advice on strength training as we're growing older, all of it. We're going to go through it. We'll see how much we can get done. And we're going to do a messages to our younger self in the 5th segment because it's going over very well, and we're going to make it a part of the show now. So I want to welcome to the radio program, Melody Schoenfeld and Lee Boyce. Melody, first how are you? And let's hear a little bit about This Is Your Life. Go right ahead, please.
I'm pretty good. I live in Los Angeles now. I'm from New York. Originally, which you can probably tell from I have the New York come out every once in a while. But most people know my brother as opposed to me. My brother is one of the top researchers in muscle hypertrophy on the planet. His name is Brad Schoenfeld. Now that's someone who's in high demand right there. But I focus more on strength. Hypertrophy is great, but it's just not my focus. I like it. I know how to do it. It's just not something I care that much about. So I'm more about like, let's pick up giant things and put them back down. Let's see what we can break today, that kind of thing. But I did not.
As long as you don't break your body.
Well, I've done that, but but less than most other people have, I think. I did not grow up athletic at all. I was bullied. I was the last one picked for every sport in school. I got my mom to write me a doctor's note to get me out of PE. I was on the soccer team because if you got on the soccer team in high school, you didn't have to take, or you got on a sport team, you didn't have to take PE, but then I was benched like the whole time. So I didn't grow up athletic at all, except for dance. I like dance. So I did that. But again, I wasn't like a professional dancer or anything. I just really liked dance. But yeah, I was a theater geek. I liked performing and singing. And athletics was not something that was encouraged in my family, especially if you were a girl. In my family, it was like, well, you're going to go to Harvard, and then you're going to marry someone who went to Harvard, and you're going to have kids who will then go to Harvard, and let's not worry about, doing other things. Like, so that was the direction I was supposed to take. It is not the direction I took. But I'm pretty happy with the direction I took.
Very good. And so interesting. See, that's the thing about these stories. Everybody's has such a interesting backstory, and your little Harvardites that you potentially could have had thanks to mom and dad. And we can have that. Maybe we'll get into that with the messages to our younger self. We'll talk about that later. Okay. My man, Lee, how are you, man? How's the legs doing? How you feeling? I see you on Instagram all the time. You're always putting up great work, and you two have really knocked it out of the park with this book. Go ahead, Lee. You got a few minutes to talk about you. Please do.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm doing good. First of all, it's been a little bit of a hiatus, to be honest with you, of being on the show. However, glad to be back. First and foremost, time number 14. I can't believe that. It's been the same as far as just keeping busy and still doing my thing in the industry and teaching and speaking and writing and all that stuff. And I'm into year 6 at the college that I teach at. And so I actually just finished a set of classes today. And it's just really just keep it on the grind. And so I know for people who aren't familiar with me on the show so far, I've got into the industry age 20. So running a track at the same time that I was taking classes, kinesiology student, at the same time that I was, working as a call center representative at the university campus for research studies, and then got fired for being late a couple times in like a period of time, in like 6 months or whatever it was. And so then that was what the impetus was for me to go and look for a training certification and say, you know what, I've always wanted to look for this. Why don't I start? And so, that's sort of what got the ball rolling. And eventually I was able to get hired. I got certified, and then I got hired at a local chain commercial gym. And from then I just said, you know what? And the real goal from that point on was like, I just wanted to be 2 things. I wanted to be like number 1, wherever I was, I wanted to be number 1. But number 2 was that I wanted to be the youngest person in the space that I was. I always wanted to be the youngest one in the room. And so I guess those 2 things, like I sort of went through for as long as it could anyway, because I'm not too young anymore. But at the time I was doing that at Extreme Fitness, which was the name of the big commercial gym that I worked for. And then afterwards I went to a medical clinic where, once again, I was one of the younger ones there. I was a trainer on that staff, and ultimately I ended up doing my own thing from 2012 until today. So this is year number 11 of being solo and just doing my own thing. And in the process, I was able to start, getting published places, writing, and getting some speaking engagements, getting the job with Humber College there, and so on. So you've seen quite the journey. You asked how the legs are going, how the knees are going. So I'm year number 6 post-operation of that patellar tendon rupture to both legs. And it's, I can't complain. There's always going to be setbacks. You're never going to be 100% back to the way you were before. But there are a lot of factors that influence that, including the fact that time passes and you get older, and you got to just be able to train intuitively and do the right things in order to keep your body healthy and have the right outlook toward things. So I'm trying to apply that as best I can. And I think that some of that inspired some of the things that I had to write about in the book, along with Melody.
Well, that's for sure. And I'm going to reset this and carry this through, everybody. Lee Boyce is here along with Melody Schoenfeld. We're going to talk about their book, Strength Training for All Body Types, showing it to the camera for the people that are watching the video. It's interesting. And when you said train intuitively, we're going to talk about many of those types of aspects, because I deal with it myself all the time. It's like, as I told Melody pre-show, Lee, we got to try and keep ourselves off the couch much as possible. Don't get dinged. If you get dinged, get healthy and work through it. You're listening to Tom Met Show, Fitness Gurus, Melody Schoenfeld, Lee Boyce. This will be a good one. All right.
Nice. When you show this book, sometimes because of your background, sometimes it doesn't show. So I'm not sure if that's going to show when it's actually ready to be like everything, or. I'm just wondering. I don't.
Right.
So I see a piece of it on the bottom half. So I don't know what has to sort.
Then I won't show it then. What I'll do is I'll put a picture, I'll edit a picture into the video.
There you go. Yeah,
And
good idea. Good idea.
It'll look clean. And so, all right.
Yeah,
I gotta
that's smart.
Yeah, I'll do. I'm getting better at the editing thing, Lee. It's been an interesting thing for me. It's it kind of fits in with the storytelling. I like the concept, developing the concept for the videos. And I just knew that I needed reps. I needed reps to get better at this shit. And it's like, okay, let's just freaking get busy. And so I've been working really, really hard. And, just I told myself, I said, this is my job for a full on year, except for, doing my training at the gym. But that's another part of the job. It's like, you got to stay sharp. You got to stay sharp so that you can stay sharp. So let me get my readout here. Papers everywhere. All right, you guys. Gonna go fabulous. Here we go. Craig Reed. Craig Reed. Sorry. There we go. 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 I gotta get some shit. Crazy. Here we go. Our Ameriprise financial advisor, and I hope will be your financial advisor, is Craig Stiles of Ameriprise. Craig has been a sponsor of ours for a long time. He's an advisor, and full disclosure, as I say every show now, every dime of our retirement savings is with Craig, and we're thrilled to have it there. If you want to plan for the life you want today and well into the future, you need to get a hold of Craig Stiles. With the right financial advisor like Craig, life can be brilliant. B-ism. Lee Boyce remembers the B-isms. Call Craig. A couple of numbers here, everybody. 1-800-528-1355. His local number is 517-483-4893. Email craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road. Suite B is in Brilliant, or B-ism, Lansing, Michigan 48912. Remember, Ameriprise is a huge company, and Craig will, if you hear this and you're in like Melody, our guest today, one of our guests today in California, just hit him up and he'll connect you up with one of his colleagues, because they're a huge company and they do really, really solid work. Here are some of the stations in and out of the network have carried us, not carried us. Syndicated radio is kind of crazy. And I'm just happy to be on any station, anytime. And, the 12, 13 plus seasons we've been doing this thing. WGHN 92.1, always first out of the chute, because they were the first to put us on broadcast radio. I don't even know, 8, 9 years ago now. It's been a while. Thank you, Grand Haven. We love you guys. Beautiful Grand Haven. Will Team and Wendy Hart, the owners, they're just the bomb, the management. And if you need any help with advertising in Grand Haven, go to WGHN. And I want to say hello to Dave Lorenz, because he's listening to us over there in Muskegon. So advertisers, go for it. WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing is a flagship of the Michigan Talk Network that we are on. WGRW 1340 AM Grand Rapids carried us for a long, long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon. WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City. There's lots of stations. There's over 40 stations in the Michigan Talk Network. That doesn't mean we're on all of them, but we're on a bunch of them. And, it's all good. WKER News Talk AM 870, our PBS affiliate at Michigan State University, carrying us and blowing us all the way to Lake Michigan. They're the big tower. Any stations that want to carry our show, hit us up. Our families talk radio. Craig Stiles created Desideri Analytics, and that's what puts him over the top. That's why we are with him. And a couple more things. That thing called Amazon, we have 4 books there. Please check those out. Go for it. And the Grubers, Steve and Ivy Gruber, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for putting us on your network and having the faith in us. Today, the fitness gurus are in the house. Melody Schoenfeld, MACSCS, and Lee Boyce, Studley McStudley. These two people have written a book, Strength Training for All Body Types, and I will put the picture image of the book up when I do the video so you guys can see it and go get it, because it's so well done. It's a very, very detailed book. I want to ask Melody first. Melody, when you started your collaboration with Lee, had you had this on your plate for a while, and this idea and this concept? And then tell everybody quickly about how you met Lee, please.
Okay, well, this is my third book.
Okay.
And my other two were not co-authored. But I met Lee at a conference, God, 6 years ago, 7 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. I don't know. No, I think just knowing you just feels like forever, Lee. But
Not about that. I get that. You know, Lee is he's quite the guy, isn't he?
yeah, well, you know, we hit it off immediately. Like, we got each other as soon as we met. Like, I was like, all right, I need to hang with this dude. And so we became real good friends, and we just kind of, like, I kept saying, we got to do something together. Like, I don't know what, but we got to do a thing. And then we were like, okay, well, let's do a video. So we did a video that he did for his Tall Guy Tuesday. That was just pretty much like, we're going to both do the same movement and superimpose those so you can see how it looks different when I do it and when he did it. And it was pretty popular, that post. And I was like, we should do something with that. I was like, what do you think about writing a book? And he was like, I've always wanted to write a book. And he's like, you know, it's funny that you say that, because Human Kinetics, which is my publisher, just approached me to ask me to do a book on this other thing, but I don't really want to do a book on that thing. I want to do a book on this thing. So I ran it by my publisher, and they were like, well, it's a good idea, but we don't think you can write that much about that subject. And I was like, let me prove you wrong. And so we sent them a table of contents, and they were like, let's do it. So
Cool. Well, just so Lee, set this up, because Lee is like, he's a very tall man, and Melody, go ahead, set that up, because you two are like kind of like the odd couple a little bit. Go ahead, Lee.
5 feet tall on a good day.
Yeah, I'm 6'4", so we definitely have opposite or opposing body types, which is great because it really emphasizes kind of two polarities that are both equally in a certain amount of need fitness information that's specific to those types that the book has to offer, that there's really no literature on outside of our book as far as like real guides go. So we were happy to make this and have ourselves as sort of living, breathing, walking, talking examples of two kind of people on fringe of sides of the spectrum. And I think that that's a very important thing for us, that we're examples of the exact issues that we would point out in this book.
All right, I need to jump in here, because I don't typically do this, but I want to read this off of the back of the book. So take a minute for you guys. Just take a chill here. Everybody is different. This is coming directly off of the back of the book, and I read this. And I got to share this with listeners. Short, tall, or big all over. See how this fits. Training should be designed to accommodate each athlete's unique joint angles, bone lengths, overall body structure, and strength training for all body types. The science of lifting and levers. Lee Boyce and Melody Schoenfeld have created a resource that explains how different bodies manage various exercises and how to best take advantage of physical attributes to optimize those movements. I'll stop there, because I wanted to kind of let you guys have, a minute each to talk about where we want to take this and helping people understand. Melody, you first. Throughout this show, what do you think people can expect to hearing with our conversation about lifting, fun, having fun? What do you want? What's the message you'd like people to take away?
That not everybody's form is going to look like the textbook, I think is what it comes down to. And it's funny, because when our book came out, you can write reviews about it on Amazon. And I saw that one of the reviewers was like, yeah, this is fine if you're a beginner trainer, but like, if you have any experience with people, you already know this stuff. And I don't think that's true. I know a lot of experienced trainers who have never even thought about how bodies have to look different when they train. It's always like, nope, got to look like this. If it doesn't look like this, it's wrong. So, I don't think that's intuitive knowledge.
Hold that thought, Lee. I'll come back to you to finish this thread, because we're going to go to break here. Let me reset this, everybody. The fitness gurus, you were just listening to Melody Schoenfeld, and we'll get Lee's take on this. why people need to know, what's the takeaway. Lee knows the drill here. 14th visit with us. Being fitness gurus, you really need to listen to what these people have to say, and you need to read their books. You need to really subscribe to all of their social media, and then find some balance with it. And we're going to talk about that. Bring Lee back here, talk to Melody. This is a good one, everybody. I love talking these fitness shows with these pros. They're the bomb. Love it. Tom Matt Show, Fitness Gurus, Melody Schoenfeld, Lee. Do. Yeah, baby.
You have expanded to a lot of different networks on the radio, eh?
Oh yeah, we were all over the place now. We're it's just been, man, we've been grinding.
WGHN 1470 was the last one that I remember you talking about.
Yep.
And like I don't know if there's like how many, like a couple dozen, like how many are you at?
Well, there's 40 stations, 40 plus in the Michigan Talk Network. And the funny thing about the Michigan Talk Network, it's kind of a mom and pop sort of radio. No offense to anybody watching this video, none at all. And I appreciate any radio station. Some of them are music, some of them are talk, and but they change formats all the time. So if you're program director, and we're a weekend show, so they may change something, and they may get different ownership. So I relate to all of the stations that have carried us, that I know have carried us. And then there's stations that carry us that I don't even know what their call letters are, because they don't connect with me. They kind of connect with Michigan Talk Network, and that's fine. I mean, I don't micromanage or worry about that stuff anymore, Lee. And because I used to, worry about, well, advertisers are going to need to know like exactly how many impressions we're getting. And it's like, the podcast is the thing now. It's like, well, the radio's great and it builds a lot of awareness, but the podcast is where it's at. And now the video would cut things up. And so it all fits together really well. But yeah, we're all over the place, and we're very, very great. I'm so grateful to guests like you guys. Can't tell you, because that's what makes the show good is all that. All right, let me get my read here. Here we go. The simplest way to connect with us, the radio program, is via our website, tommattshow.com. That's where you can find the bottom of that homepage. You can find our sponsors and some of our friends, and just go there if you would need Craig, or Brock Fletcher, Craig Stiles. Both of their banners are down there at the bottom of that homepage. Please check that out. It's always an evolution with the website, but that's the easiest place to find everything in one concise area. And it's been completely redesigned. As a matter of fact, I just submitted some more changes. So we're always trying to upgrade things for you. But whatever your preference is, YouTube, and that's where I'm putting a lot of energy. But if you're on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, send me a note. Or send a note to the contact box on the website. Our mission is to build an engaged society and team. We want to connect with you all. So whichever social media that you enjoy using, or whatever is your thing, your favorite, please drop us a note, because we will respond to all. We will respond to all messaging, and we want your input on these episodes, because we just want to get better. And it's just find good people that can help coach you up. The Refinement Zone, the RFZ, is all about community, collaboration, and cooperation. The 3C, sharing stories. We've got the RFZ, the Refinement Zone. That's one channel on YouTube. And then we've got the Tom Matt Show. Tom Matt Show at Tom Matt Show, and you can find it there. Find it all on the website. All right, back to the episode today. The fitness gurus are in the house, Melody Schoenfeld and Lee Boyce. Lee, I left off the previous thread with Melody, and I didn't get your input, where we need to jump back in there and kind of talk about your collaborative work with your pal. And so please, would you pick that up, and we'll just continue on with this fun conversation?
Well, first of all, what Melody said about the person who was on the Amazon reviews, talking about it being kind of rudimentary, kind of information that only starting trainers or starting people in fitness and so on, people who are lifters and so on, would get the most out of. I agree with what Melody's sentiments were, in that there are a lot of people out there who are extremely experienced who never thought for a second about this subject. And I mean, case in point, that's why no other literature exists in this subject in the first place, right? If it was such knowledge, such information that a lot of people know about, then Why wouldn't have some experts already have made this, right? And so it should be circulating like crazy. Anyway, having said that, one thing that I think that is the main takeaway from not only this conversation, but from the book being made in the first place would be that it enables people to understand that with critical thinking, everybody can strength train and strength train safely, right? And those three key words with critical thinking have to lead things off, though. That's the most operative part of the sentence, is because it does take a closer look at what your body type is and whether or not you're force feeding certain exercises or lifts into a body type that's not really conducive to it. And once you realize that, yes, you know what? Oh, my torso might be actually a little bit longer. Or maybe that's why I've been having so many problems with these deadlifts, these squats. Maybe I should switch to a trap bar, et cetera, et cetera. Then start realizing, oh, okay, well, maybe deadlifts aren't bad for my back, like my doc is telling me, for example, right? Maybe it is that I just need to make these different adjustments for me and my mobility and my height and my size and my levers. And then I'm going to be able to work on getting really, really strong in those deadlifts and have no back problems whatsoever. So with all that being said, I think that it encourages somebody, first of all, to think critically and think about themselves as individuals and not as part of like masses or whatever. And second of all, it gives them confidence that, yes, exercise doesn't have to be dangerous, number one. And number two, I sure can get really strong and get in great shape by just using a customized program by way of this guide.
I love it. I think you're totally spot on. And as a trainer myself and being certified for, 12 years now, I think this book is absolutely a must have. I mean, you can never know everything. I mean, if you think you know everything, you got a little bit of growth to do, because there's no way that you're going to know everything. Melody, I wanted to ask you specifically about women and lifting and your take on it, because as I said during our pre-production talk, I've seen, and I still train at the university regularly, I've seen over years, the 25 years I've been out there, that the matriculation of younger women students, college students, going into big lifting, and they're pretty good at it. And I just wanted your take on that, because it's very interesting to me, and I think that women get this misconception: I'm going to get big. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. I'm going to get big. I don't want to be big. Can you talk about that, please?
I think for a very long time, the narrative that was pushed at women is, number one, to be physically capable is to not be a woman. Like, in order to be a woman, you had to be this dainty little flower that needs help all the time. And her hands are super soft and, that kind of thing. And you just kind of stay home and cook and take care of the kids. And that's your job. Maybe you can work, at a job, but you shouldn't be doing stuff to your body. And then the whole notion that lifting for women was downright dangerous, that lifting heavy was going to hurt you. And, back in the day, in the Muscle Beach days, there were some women on Muscle Beach doing all the things the men were doing, holding men up on their shoulders, things like that. They were looked upon as like objects of awe, because no woman was doing that at the time. So for a woman to have broken through that barrier and been accepted into the community and encouraged was rare, and pretty cool. And I think just, it was only fairly recently, Jane Fonda he said, okay, let's do aerobics and we can use some little pink weights and it'll be cute. But then I think women just kind of got sick and tired of being dependent at some point, and realized that if we want to be able to do things for ourselves, our bodies need to be strong for that. Or simply just the idea of, oh, well, the guys are doing that, why can't we also do that? Like, why is that, why would we break and they wouldn't? And it's not that women's bodies aren't different. There are a lot of reasons why women's bodies are different, but there's no reason why we can't be strong as hell,
No question about it. I mean, I've seen, and I compliment some of the work ethic from some of these female students that I come in contact with. They kill it. I mean, they're getting it done. Lee, what's your take? Got a couple minutes before we go to break here. What's your take on that whole thing with women and lifting and powerlifting? What's your vibe on it?
My vibe is the same. Like, honestly, I think that it's really, really one thing that I actually like to give credit to, where a lot of people tear it down, but I'll give credit where it's due, even though I do have my issues with it, is CrossFit for really, really bringing a lot of attention toward the fact that not only the women lifting weights, but women doing big compound movements that involve heavier weights. That was something that even when the barrier was broken, it was still, okay, I'm going to lift some light dumbbells. I'm going to do a little bit of weight training and a couple machines. But now all of a sudden the barbell clean and the barbell squat and pull-ups and all these different big movements are coming into play. And they're rivaling what the men's results are and all that sort of thing. And it's an impressive thing to see. And I think CrossFit has a lot to do with just making that more mainstream. So I do have a lot of respect for that in that regard. And from that perspective, seeing women getting stronger and focusing on those things, especially when it's not only glute workouts every day, all day, then it's a really, really good thing to see. And I just like to see everybody keep it up.
Well, there's balance. You got to have balance in your life, and everything has to be in balance. I mean, that's part of my issues, my psychology. I mean, when you become OCD and you find that things, I mean, I have OCD tendencies. I think a lot of people who are very focused do. It's okay. It's all right to be that way, but you've got to understand that without the balance that these guys are talking about, and we're going to talk about this more because I'm going to carry this through to break, everybody, because we're coming up on break. The science of lifting and levers, I want to go right there when we come back from break, everybody, and talk about what does that mean? Because people are thinking about, well, I'm training or I'm just working out. Well, why do I need to know about the science of lifting and levers? Well, you really need to just have a comprehensive understanding, even if you're not a trainer, even if you're not a trained fitness professional. If you're in the gym, you need to be knowledgeable because, again, we don't want people on the couch getting dinged because you're probably going to get dinged a little bit anyways. And so how do we deal with that? I mean, we've all had them. Lee's had them. I've had them. Melody's had them. To say we're not injury-free would be incorrect. We'll talk about that more when we come back. The fitness gurus, Melody Schoenfeld, Lee Boyce, Tom Matt. Yeah, I got a whole new system, Lee. We're completely portable now. I've taken this thing on the road, the radio show, done episodes, recording sessions. It was always the plan. And I would love to do like conventions now that I'm 100% confident that our system works. Maybe someday we'll meet up, Melody and Lee. We can, cross paths and do some radio at some of these conventions because that's been part of the plan all along, is to do these things. So, all right. Let me get to this read. Melody, we're coming right back to you about the science of lifting and levers, and we'll talk about that. And then fifth segment will be, messages to my younger self. So here we go. Guys are doing great. Brock Fletcher, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty, is our guy. Again, full disclosure, with our sponsors, we utilize their services because I feel that integrity is built around using the services, being able to give a very good review. I love doing reviews, do a lot of reviews on YouTube because I know people, they need to find a place they can trust, and that's where they come to our show and they know that, hey, I lay it all out there. So Brock Fletcher is our guy. He was our buyer and seller agent for Big House Holt, Little House Lansing. Mike Dedman, how are you, buddy? He was our buyer's agent for this house that we're doing this recording session with right here in Lansing, Michigan. You can call Brock. A couple numbers coming at you here, you guys. 517-853-6408, or the super secret, which isn't so super secret, but I like to say that, his cell phone to his pocket. Text him 303-3262, 517-303-3262. As a matter of fact, Brock's messages to his younger self, he was my first guest to ever do it with me. He had no idea we're going to do that. Is just went live. So by the time you hear this episode on radio or the podcast, you'll see that there are going to be several up there. Our guests, we're going to start doing it as part of the show, but Brock was the very first one. And I knew he'd do it because he's a cool guy. The thing about these people, just like our guest today, you got to find people you trust. If you find people you trust, you got a shot. because it's just, life is too dang short to be worrying about, you know, I don't like that feeling in my head when I got to doubt people. I just would rather be, you know, I'd just like to have faith in what people tell me, and I don't have to doubt them at all. So that's why we have who we have. Brock Fletcher spends thousands on marketing to help you sell your home, market your home, give you advice. Keller Williams is huge, and the KW selling team is awesome. kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Brock Fletcher, my friend, he is the subject matter expert for the reality of real estate. There's like 15 episodes on our website. Please go check those out. Same with Craig, you know, financial fitness guru. Those guys are the best. All right. Back to our episode today, fitness gurus, Melody Schoenfeld and Lee Boyce. Melody, let's go with you first about this, the part of the title, because you're a petite woman. Lee's a big, tall guy compared to me. I mean, I'm a average, below average size man. But you have is strength training for all body types, but as the subtitle, you have the science of lifting and levers. Why do not only fitness professionals, but just everyday Jane and Joe, why is that relevant to what they do?
Well, your whole body is a lever system. You know, all a lever is a tool that picks things up. If you want to really simplify it, picks things up on one end and it has a fulcrum on the other. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And so we're full of levers. And if you look at the physics of these things, the distance of the weight to the fulcrum and where the fulcrum is placed in the whole thing and how many fulcrums they are, because some levers have more than one, that's going to change how efficiently a weight can be lifted. You know, at what distance it has to travel, what angle it has to travel, how heavy it feels. You know, if you ever do a lateral raise, you're going to be lifting a lot less weight than if you do a bench press. You know, it's just a different movement completely, and it's closer to the body when you bench. So that's pretty much what it comes down to.
Lee, your take on all that too. Let's just kind of fill in the gaps a little bit with this and talk about that, because it's important for people to really understand. And you've always been such an articulate guy who can describe this. Being a college professor now, you have gotten so good at. You always were really, really articulate and good at this. Now you're even better. What's your professional opinion on all this?
Levers as a whole are going to be most, in my opinion, is arguably the most important part of understanding just biomechanics and how the body works, how the body is supposed to act under load and how it's supposed to react to heavy loads and so on. And it's going to influence just how much you can lift. It's going to influence what exercises you choose in the first place. Now, the science of lifting and levers, how everybody's individual lever system is a little bit different than everybody else's, is the most important and most poignant point of the entire book, to show that these differences do exist and no two bodies are really alike. So we're trying to find as many different combinations of a standard body type. We've taken, you know, national or international averages in terms of height and in terms of proportions and all that stuff. And then we said, okay, well, what about the outliers? What lever systems, how does weight act on these lever systems when they're not quite the same? A lot of studies that might be out there might not take those things into consideration when they're choosing their people for the control group, when they're actually doing studies to see what the effects are of these lifts on these muscles, for example, right? You take somebody with a 7-foot wingspan and you make them do pec flies, that's going to have a little bit of a different impact on them than somebody who has a 5'11" wingspan, right? And so in my opinion, I believe that levers and taking a closer look at those things, at just the physics of the movement, not only is it going to make you a safer lifter, it's also going to make you a smarter coach, if that's what your stream is as well. If you're a lifter, it's one thing, but if you're a coach who's training people, it'll give you a more of a distinguishing eye, I guess, toward what each client needs individually. And that's a very important thing to know.
Melody, we have in the book, in the table of contents, and which is broke up really well. You guys did a great job with this, but you have part 1 is foundations. Part 2 is exercise optimization. Part 3 is rounding out a comprehensive strength program. And then past that, the exercise finder is very detailed. I mean, you guys there's like 4 or 5 pages here. The whole thing is well done. But one thing I did notice when I was reading parts of the book was a term that I've heard from other guests, very knowledgeable people, is it depends. It depends. And I don't think enough people understand how much it does depend. You want to talk about how much it depends means?
Yeah, because even knowing everything you can possibly know about leverages, no two people are the same. And that's really what it comes down to. So even within what we are telling you in the book, don't take it as a law, because you're going to have people who come in here. And you know, I can tell you from my personal experience, stuff that seems to work for everyone else never works for me. Never. Like, you can have people getting phenomenal results from this program, whatever program it is, and I will just not do well on it. Like, it's everybody's body is different. This applies to the physical, this applies to nutrition as well. There's no two people who are going to come in the same with you know, you can have two people with the same nutrition goals, and they will not be able to go at it the same way because they have different mentalities, different psychology, different genetics. All of that stuff plays a role. And so, yeah.
Lee, your take on that? It depends. I'm glad that Melody mentioned nutrition as well. You got a couple of minutes to kind of expand on this topic. Please, it depends, Lee Boyce.
When you start looking at different joints throughout the body, whether it's your shoulder joint, your hip joint, and in both cases, we actually have illustrations, medical illustrations in the book that talk about the differences among shoulder joints and classifications and among hip joints, with shots of actual skeletal builds, and shows that, you know, your acetabulator facing out or down or in or narrower or wider and all that stuff. And the femoral neck, the neck of where your leg bone attaches into your hip bone, how that angle could influence things too, and all of that and its pertinence to a squat pattern, just as an example. This in itself just shows that, yeah, you could be 6 feet tall and you could have a 6'2" wingspan, and so could another person. But then all of a sudden you take a look at those shoulder joints that we talked about, or take a look at proportions of what their torso length is relative to their leg length, or those hip angles that I was just talking about. And you realize, okay, well, that's the reason why you can't say feet shoulder width apart when you squat. Maybe one person can, but 10 other people can't, right? Or why you have to say that you must have an exactly identical stance when you deadlift or squat, or that your shoulder press needs to be this wide apart when you're doing your barbell pressing. You know, these it depends situations should really have a lot more credence than they get given, because truthfully, if we were trying to force feed or fit square pegs into round holes all day long, we'd end up with a lot more injuries and a lot less people staying safe, rather than actually doing the right thing and customizing their workouts and their training and even their technique, even their tempo, even their load chosen, all those different things for their bodies, their body types. We haven't even talked about one thing that I wanted to actually say is that in the earlier chapters of this book, one thing that was mentioned was that exercise programs that you'll find in books or on the internet, they often require a clean slate, no injuries, perfect age, no surgeries, all that stuff. And oftentimes it's not that true. That's not the way that it goes. So we have to think about that too.
Well said, man. I'll tell you what, because as we grow older, and it's not getting old, you can say you're getting older. I'm going to say you're growing older. That's the way I roll. That's the way my friends roll. As you grow older, you keep a better perspective. My knee doesn't hurt because I'm getting old. My knee hurts because I'm an active guy and I've got some mileage on it, and it's fine. It's okay. And I just got to train around it and be aware. Lee Boyce is here. Melody Schoenfeld's here. The fitness gurus coming back. We're going to do messages to my younger self with my two friends. We'll be right back. Well said, Lee.
Thanks.
See, Melody, how this goes. And Lee, you know, Lee's done this so many times with me. It's like we just get going, and it's just like, I love talking to smart people and having these conversations. Okay, so this is where I'm going to do the plug, you guys. Each of you get a chance to share whatever you want, take as long as you want, to plug email, phone numbers, speaking engagements, the book sales, all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to throw it to you first, Melody. I have a little tiny read that I do, but then I'm going to give it to you. So do you have all that handy, all your stuff down? I just asked that question because some people get caught off guard. I don't want you to be caught off guard.
No problem.
Your contact info, you have all that memorized? Great. Okay, cool. Here we go. If you're a nonprofit, school, church, or youth group, we want to be here to help you spice up your gig. We are offering through our website, tommatshow.com, go to the contact box, a pro bono freebie. I will facilitate a speaking engagement with some of my experts locally, or maybe we'll get some people on the Zoom to do these for you. But this is the thing. We're here to offer our services as a free offer to help support you. And this is for church groups, youth groups, nonprofits. Now, if you want to pay us, we'll be happy to take your money. Okay. I'm not going to say that for sure, but this is more designed for helping community outreach, messaging, and just spicing up your gig. So let me know. I can get Craig to come in. I can have Brock come in. I could reach out to many, many people. I like to think of myself as a connector. I do it all the time with students at the university, and, radio is kind of a facilitation mechanism for that. Want to get our contact info for our guests, because we're going to do our messages to our younger self here in a second. Melody, you first. How would you like people to connect with you? Go ahead, share all your info.
Well, you can find me on Instagram. I am at number 5 FT of Fury number 1. So 5 feet of Fury 1. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. I also have a website that is flawlessfitness.com. I will be speaking at the Recovery and Sleep Summit, which is an online free conference. I have a link to that on my Instagram right now. You can see it on the post that I made about it a little while ago. I'm going to be presenting with Lee a couple times this year. We're going to be speaking in Germany, and we're going to be speaking at the Can Fit Pro in August. So that'll be cool. So if you have interest in coming out to Europe and seeing us in Munich, that will be cool in June. Yes. And then if you want to come up north, across the border in Michigan in August, we'll be up there too.
Cool. You gotta let me know when that happens, because I'd love to come meet you guys and do all of this. And again, they're available for speaking engagements. If you're listening to this thing 3 years from now, great, reach out. Okay. And I'll put all of the contact info in the recap of the show notes. So if you said, oh, I wish you'd repeat what she just said, don't worry about it. I got you covered. We've been doing this for a couple days now. So Lee, my man, I mean, you're just about everywhere. How would you like people specifically to get a hold of you?
Sorry. Well, I guess Instagram is one of the hottest things out there right now. So I'm going to have to say that Instagram at Coach Lee Boyce, and across all social media, that's what my handle is. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm on those 3. 3 is more than enough, by the way. I don't really plan to do much more than that. My website is leeboyce.com. I finally got the URL to drop the training. So it's just leeboyce.com, finally. So I'm on there. I archive a lot of my work, all my content on different magazines, publications, online magazines, all that stuff is on there. And other than that, I guess just at leeboyce.com is what most people are going to reach me on. And yeah, it's really just keeping abreast with all of my content that I put on social, because that's an easiest way to see what I've got going day to day. I usually don't miss a day without posting on at least 2 of the 3 mediums. So I'm out there, and I've got that. And now this book there as well. It's another way for people to sort of get an idea of what goes through my mind and put it back to the printed word there. So that's about it. And you can find me on all that stuff.
Strength training for all body types, the science of lifting and levers. We can talk about this for hours, but we're at the last segment, and we're going to do our new funsy thing here. Melly, let's do you first. Let's flip back and forth. Messages to my younger self. Let's see how many we can get done. I've been asking guests to maybe give me 3. Let's do 1 right now. What would be your first message to your younger self for Melody Schoenfeld? Go ahead, please.
The guy who used to threaten to kill you at the bus stop is going to ask you out to dinner over Facebook when you get older.
Oh my God. See, this is why we're doing this stuff. This is so great. That was like, I can't tell you how awesome I find this. Okay, Lee, can you top that one? I mean, that's pretty good.
Absolutely cannot top that one. However, I'm just going to choose a generic thing and say that nutrition is extremely important for your athletic potential and all that stuff, which is something that I really didn't pay enough attention to when I was younger, when I was a young sprinter and all that stuff. I was eating anything that I wanted. And, you know, not only physique wise, but also in terms of my my results and injury prevention, that all suffered because of it.
All right there, Melody. What's number two? I don't know. How can you top that first one? But I'm sure you got something. Go ahead, please.
Don't listen to your parents, major in music. My parents talked me out of majoring in music, and I majored in elementary education. And what I discovered was I did not want to be a teacher. But I'm still a musician on the side. So I would have had a lot better theory than I do now.
See, that's the thing with parenting. You know, sometimes you got to go with your gut. And if you just got a vibe for it and you're feeling good about it, you know, but hey, messages to my younger self. That's why we do this. Lee Boyce, what's number two for you, my man?
My second message to myself would probably be that it's a very important thing to understand that you need to know people. And your network matters a whole lot, and building that network matters a whole lot. Now, a lot of people will say it's a cop-out to say, oh, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know and connections and blah, blah. And so, oh, yeah, you were just in the right place at the right time. Well, guess what? That's absolutely true, but it also takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that you've established yourself in that place at that time so you can have that opportunity come up for you. It takes a lot of hard work in the background. And so it's a constant grind for you to make sure that you're in those places and that you have those people on your side, not to mention in your circle, but on your side, so they can vouch for you to get the opportunities that you might want.
That is a fact. I mean, you know what? Connecting with people, going to these conferences, reaching out on social, there really is no reason why that you can't reach out and and let me tell you guys, if you're just listening and you're brand new to the show, if you were to reach out to either of my guests, I can virtually guarantee you that you're going to hear back from them. So don't be afraid to reach out to people, because there's mentors out there. We talk about mentors all the time, getting help from people. Without all the mentors I've had in my life, I don't even know where we'd be. I don't know. All right there, Melody. You've been pretty good at this thing. Not that Lee hasn't been good at it, but yours are creative. Go ahead. What's number three for you?
I think probably just that everything's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be all right.
That is so, you know what? That's perfect, because as we're younger, the message is to our younger self. It's like, relax. It's going to be okay. You know, the it depends comes into play, but yeah, it'll be good. Just stay straight and don't do too many drugs. I mean, coming from me, I mean, you know, being sober July 27th this year, 25 years, I can speak from the heart, truthfully. Okay there, Mr. Boyce. What would you like to leave the listeners with your third message to my younger Lee self?
I guess that just good things do take time to happen. And if they do take a longer time to happen, it's probably for a good reason, in the sense of it'll probably be a much more well-established good thing when it comes around, that you waited for, that you built up for, that you prepared for more effectively. And you know, like I said at the beginning of this, how I said I always want to be the youngest person in my space or in the room. You know, that also came with wanting a lot of things prematurely that maybe I shouldn't have gone for had happened at certain times. And in some cases, when I had doors shut for it, I was glad, because, you know, in the big picture, 36 isn't that old. 25 is definitely not that old, and so on. And, you know, if you want a career to last the test of time, then it's good if certain things, you don't sort of reach your peak, so to speak, too early. And, you know, imagine like there was like, we had 2 books out or something like that by the time I was 23. Like, how many people would take that as seriously? Because like, you've been in the industry for like 10 minutes, man. Like, what do you have to really share that I'm going to really benefit from, aside from a couple of fitness facts? So anyway, all that to say that sometimes just scaling things back, taking your time and letting the process sort of unfold for itself, that's a really important thing to focus on.
Perfect. That was greatness. And your last two for each of you, your points dovetailed together. All right. I need a minute takeaway from each of you. Melody, you first. A minute takeaway for this episode, because we're coming up on the close of the episode. Go ahead. What would you like to, for your first time, and I hopefully not your last, but I'm going to invite you back for sure. I guarantee it. What would you like to leave the listeners with as a takeaway from this first episode here on the show?
I think listen to your body. As a general rule, is probably the best advice I can give to anybody, because if something doesn't feel right to you, it's probably not right for you.
Lee?
I think that training intuitively is going to be, it's again, dovetails right off of what Melody said, and be able to listen to your body. So that is extremely important, making sure that the exercises that you do are appropriate for you, but more importantly, in the macro kind of aspect, training intuitively. And what I mean by that is like realizing that, okay, your 45-year-old body might not be the same as your 22-year-old body. And that's at no discount of what your athleticism is, what your capabilities are, what your energy is. It's just, you have more mileage as a human being. And, you know, you could make a car that's 35 years old run great, but it's not going to run the way that it was fresh off the lot unless you completely rejig the thing. So you can take fantastic care of yourself and still have realistic expectations. And that's what you got to really do to train intuitively for the long haul cycle, and realize that, you know, your body is going to change over time too.
The book is called Strength Training for All Body Types, The Science of Lifting and Levers. I want to read a quick takeaway from Joe DeFranco from the back of the book. One size does not fit all when it comes to exercise prescription, and this book explains that better than any other resource in existence. Nice praise. This is a must read for anyone looking to train smarter, maximize results, and drastically reduce your injury risk. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thank you to my guests for being on the show today. Melody Schoenfeld, Lee Boyce, the fitness gurus. We listen to the Tom Matt Show. We're out. All right. See, that goes by
really quickly.
Doesn't it though? I mean, it goes by quickly when there's just two of us, but when there's three of us, Melody, what'd you think?
That was fun.
It's fun. I mean, that's what I try to do here. I mean, I want to promote, you know, what you guys are doing and assist and meet people. And so, and now we're doing, you know, a little bit more like following in Lee's footsteps, because I remember when he first started on Instagram, and he set a goal, and he said, I'm going to get to, I think your first goal was 25,000 or something like that, Lee. And
yeah, probably.
You hit you kept just plugging away. And Melody, I'm going to start following you on Instagram too. I don't, you know, I follow Lee. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram, but I'm doing more and more now because people like those short clips. But, you know, let me know if I can help you guys do anything, need anything, and let's stay in touch, because I'd love to have you back and promote this more. As you can tell, Melody, it goes by pretty fast. And so I think you have a great story. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Always, man.
Right on, brother. Good to see you. Good to see you, Melody. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will put a review up on Amazon once I get done with the book. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. When does this one go out again?
About 3 weeks. I'll let you know. I have a new form that I use on an email with all the links to all of the social media, the clips, all of it. And so you'll get a kind of a long email with lots of different links to different things. And yeah, Lee, I'll be waiting for you to respond back, because you remember back in the day, man, you've been with me a long, long time, 9 years. And so, you know, we're all working towards the same thing, right? We're just trying to help people get better.
That's it, man.
That's it. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. See ya. All right. Let me blow this picture up here. Woo! I love talking to smart people. Those two are just dynamite. And I will put a picture of the book on the video. I tried to show it, but this thing behind me gets kind of goofed up. But I've known Lee Boyce a long time, and Melody's greatness. And the two of them, when you see the copy, this book is really written like it's so in depth. It's written like a textbook, but it's not a textbook. It's just full of knowledge. So I hope you get a chance to check it out. Thank you guys for listening. Subscribe, like, do all of those things, tell your friends about us. And hopefully this helps you. All right. Until next time. Peace out, everybody. Have a great day.